Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I wanted to go over how I made a Mythic Plus push group. I wanted to go over the attributes I look for in players and how I'm able to determine the potential of those players ahead of time and overall just how you build the team. So this was actually inspired by someone in the comments who asked, like kind of the outside looking in, how you go ahead and make a group. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of insight into how I make a group and how I think a lot of other groups are made. I mean, you might watch some streamers, some kind of wonder like, hey, how did all these guys come together? So I just want to kind of give you my perspective of how I was able to do that successfully. I would say to start off, how do you simply find the players? And really, the simplest way to do that is through the LFG system. Inherently, the people who are in LFG are going to be motivated to do keys because they are there. I mean, they're there for a reason. They're in that moment of time where they're interested in doing keys, and especially if you kind of get higher in the key level, above the tangible reward structure of 10s, as you get to approach the 12s, you start to see people that, if they're queuing for 12s and above, that they are more interested in pushing IO than others that aren't in the queue system. So with that being said, I wouldn't really recommend looking in a guild. If you're in a guild like a raiding guild or even a mythic raiding guild, it tends to not work out that well unless there's individuals in that guild that are actively pushing on their own in the pug system, in the LFG pug system. That did happen to me, where my previous raiding guild, most of the people in there were not pushing IO. They were kind of just doing their weeklies. But there was one guy in particular who, on his own, through the pug system, through the LFG system, was pushing pretty decent IO. And I thought, if this guy is willing to push on his own through the pug system, imagine what he would be able to do if he had a consistent group. And so I asked him early in Dragonflight, because I kind of saw the potential, if he wanted to push, and he was motivated. He's happy to do it. And season 3 Dragonflight, that, I mean, I should say the relationship grew, from season 1 of Dragonflight, and got better. And season 3, we were able to get the Dreaming Hero title, and now in season 1 of War Within, we're still pushing together with a few new teammates, and we're well above the title cutoff for season 1 of the War Within. But that is a unique situation. Keep a lookout for people in your guild who are, significantly above a rating that's, above like the like 10s, for example, because then those people are playing because they actually enjoy Mythic Plus. If you're going above kind of the 10 rating, I don't know what that is, but if they're doing 12s and above, that they actually enjoy Mythic Plus to some certain extent. So go ahead and ask them. But most people in raiding guilds just are not motivated, at least in my experience. Like, most people in a raiding guild, well, they're there to raid, and mostly they just raid log. They'll log in for the raid, log out, and won't see them for another week. And either they're raid loggers or just simply incapable of doing Mythic Plus at a high level. Just look out for the unique situations where you might find a player, because they could be part of your group, like there is one for mine. So how about the rest of the group? Well, I need to first start out and share my unique experience that not everyone's going to have, and most probably will not have, and that's a sibling who not only plays World of Warcraft, but plays it at a really high level, is pretty much, for lack of a better term, on my level. And not only that, plays a healer, loves to heal. So I have a very unique situation where I'm the tank, he's the healer, and we're pretty much on the same wavelength in terms of like motivation for the game. So, when you have the tank and healer always available, it tends to make the experience more enjoyable and more consistent. Um, so I guess what I would say with that is most people do not have a sibling who's not only plays World of Warcraft, not only is good at the game, but also plays a healer. You just have to go into the LFG system, and I would definitely start if you're just like starting out fresh here, in your development of a team. I would go find a healer first. And to kind of backtrack there a little bit, this is coming from a tank perspective because tanks control their own destiny, because not a lot of people want to play tank for various reasons. So first, this is coming from the tank perspective, where I highly recommend, if you're trying to make a group, be the tank, because you're controlling your own destiny at that point. And then in LFG, use that as your trial phase of finding a healer. And then if you find a healer with these type of qualities, who first of all is nice, interacts well within the key, and no matter how the key goes, good or bad, has a good attitude, and also is actually good or shows potential, really good output, you have some sort of success in the keys, then add them to your friends list, and then just do a few more keys together, maybe pugging other DPS. And maybe after a few keys, you can start to kind of, after that relationship builds, then start to say, hey, do you want to take this to Discord and, see if we can make this thing a more consistent, permanent thing. And then once you have that, then it's the DPS. And the DPS is a little bit easier, but still kind of difficult. I mean, it's easier because there's just a sea of DPS to pick from, because everybody wants to be a DPS. No one wants to be a healer or tank, but everybody wants to be a DPS. So I kind of use the same method here. I trial people, see how they interact. An important thing to me is, if I say hi, I expect them to respond back and say, hey, hi, whatever. It's really important for that. I know it's a small thing, but it's important to have those little things of just, pleasantry, to show that they have some sort of conscience. And, the other things that are important, like a healer, is like they need to have good output, good DPS. They need to use their utility, their entire kit, helping the team, not just by DPSing, using their other things like interrupts and CC. And then, having some sort of success in these keys, especially as you get up, like around 12, if you start to see some success with these DPS, then you can ask them, after the run, if it went successful, you say, hey, can I add you to run more keys? And you have to be consistent. It can't just be you add them and then you never talk to them again. You have to take the initiative, especially as the tank, to ask the next time, like, hey, you want to do keys right now? And if they are meant to be in your group, they will say sure, or they'll say, yeah, I'm down, just give me a little bit of time. And you build that relationship where you continue to do keys off the Discord, and once you see a few more successes go through, then you ask them, hey, you want to bring this to Discord? And that's what I did. It's what I did in Dragonflight with Season 3. I had my brother, my friend from my guild. We were pugging until we found someone that fit the bill. And after several successful keys, we asked, hey, do you want to bring this to Discord? And, he was a very chill guy, still on my friends list. Still didn't have our 5th DPS at that point. But he's like, hey, I have a buddy. He's very similar to me. And I thought, well, I trust you, so let's bring him on. And, he was a really cool dude, really good. And there we go. We had our 5, and we were motivated. We all had the same goal of getting title. And therefore, we, with a common goal and common motivation, we were able to push and get the Dreaming Hero title in Season 3. Now, those two going into War Within, they were a little burnt out, understandably, because, you know, it was a grind to get that title, especially with the comp we played. We weren't playing a super meta comp, so it was a little bit more difficult, so it was a little bit more of a grind, so they were kind of burnt out, understandably, but the three of us, myself, my brother, and my friend from my previous guild, we were still motivated, but we had to start over and find our next two players to round out the roster. And I used the same method of going to LFG, starting around the 12 mark, to kind of gauge like who would be a good fit. And it took a while to find the two players, but in the end I did find them because they fit the bill. They were very nice, pleasant, really good at the game, and were motivated to continue to do keys, you know, after the initial keys were like, you know, maybe a day passed and I would message them and say, hey, you want to do keys? And they're like, yes, I love to do keys. And I knew when they're motivated, like, especially I remember one of them where it's like, do you want to do this key? And he's like, I'm down for any keys. And when I heard that, I'm like, this is my guy right here. So, you know, we did several keys off of Discord, and eventually when I felt a little bit more comfortable, I'm like, okay, I think these are it. I invited him to Discord, and then the relationship grew even more after that, to a point now where we are well above the title cutoff. We're pushing 17s at this point, and it's a beautiful thing. Now, how I selected them from a sea of DPS to initially is this, and some people are not going to like it, but quite frankly, there's a reason for this, and I was looking for the meta classes. And the reason for that, other than the fact that it does give you a competitive advantage over other people who are not playing the meta, is that people who play the meta, that tells me that they care about maximizing the competitive advantage to push IO. And it also shows that they are extremely flexible and can pretty much multi-class and play anything that is required to win. When I see a Ret Pally or a Hunter in LFG, what I see is a one-trick pony that is unable to adapt, and no matter how good or bad that class and spec is, they will only be able to play that class because they're unable to multi-class. So you may hate it, but that's a big indicator of a player that is willing to be flexible and is able to do whatever it takes to win. So in this season, 2 DPS, it was augmentation and enhanced shaman. That's what I was looking for, and I found them the same night. It was probably like I remember the key. It was a City of Threads. I can't remember if it was a 12 or 13, but I invited both of them, both around 2700, and we that key went really well, and really the rest is history at this point. So all those things are important. Yeah. Being very nice, being very good at the game, and being consistent, reliable, and also flexible. Those are the things I look for, and once I found them, I knew that it would work out. That's what I recommend. You know, long story short, start in the LFG, take your time, be patient, and look for those attributes, and build your team over time, and then start to build that relationship with your team and trust. Start to bring it to Discord to make the group, the chemistry flourish even more, and then you'll start to see results. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/sacred synthesis1. I stream my keys. Stop by, say hi. I like to answer any questions you may have. I like to have fun. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.